Okay, let's talk about bad communication because we're all guilty and you know it. I'm guilty too. I did it just today. Yeah. You know what's funny is we make a lot of excuses inside of our head. I'm having a bad day. I got a headache. I got constipation. Whatever it is, you're going to have an excuse for having a bad day and communicating poorly. Now, the ripple effect of that can be quite destructive to your relationships in your personal life, your husband or wife, your relationships in your business, your employees or people you work with, your children, a stranger on the street. Some people call it road rage. Come to work and somebody cuts you off, you get in a bad mood. So you bring that bad mood from driving to work into your office and you dump it off on somebody. Well, what good comes from it? I keep coming back to the same theme of learning how to find that calm, centered, conscious place. Boy, it's not easy. It's not easy, not for anybody, not for me, not for you, not for anybody. The reason is if it was easy, everybody would do it, and then we'd live in this wonderful world. Only those that strive harder, that reach higher, that climb to the highest peaks of the mountains in their lives. Those are the ones that you notice the difference right away. What is it about that person? Why are they so wise? Why do they seem or come across so wise? Maybe they're just thoughtful. Maybe they're just in thought. They're just watching, being observant, being calm. So today, I just carried a whole load of work home with me over the night, and today it kind of bubbled up. And my wife called me innocently and asked me what was going on, and boy, I think I just barfed on her. Just a lot of intensity. And then I said, "You don't know how much I have on my shoulders. You don't know how much stress I carry. You don't know how much responsibility I carry. I'm the shepherd and I have to take care of all the sheep." Well, so everybody's got that. Everybody's got a flock to tend to. Whether it's your parents, maybe you're having to take care of your parents. Whether it's your children, maybe, you should be taking care of your children and your parents if you need to. Maybe it's a responsibility at work. Everybody feels the stress of work on their shoulders, but do you take it home and do you store it up and create thermonuclear resentment, judgment, angst, anxiety, whatever you want to call it? Yes, you do. Yes, we all do. Is the world itself just living in the world itself happening around us causing us stress? Yes, it does. Yes, because we're reacting. And the more we react, the more you're going to keep reacting because it just has kind of a cascading effect until there's a breakdown. So, this ripple effect thing that comes from I'll call it thermonuclear reaction, because it's all kept inside, hence the thermonuclear. It's like it's bubbling and boiling and it's building and building and building, and then boom, something happens. Somebody says just the wrong trigger word. You know what that is. Whatever it is for you. Maybe they can do the wrong thing that triggers you. Maybe your OCD, is that what it is? Maybe this book is not straight. And it's like, I left that book straight. Who moved my book? I mean, the human mind is amazing how it will distract us from our Creator. 1,000 things. Noises, smells, vibrations. I just said to my wife today, I said, the more I'm becoming aware, I said, I hate saying this, but I'm becoming aware of vibrations No, not that kind of vibration. Just energy, a person's energy, a person's spiritual energy, a person's dark energy, a person's frustrated energy, a person's scared energy. You can see them. You can see it a lot of times in different animals. Like let's take a chihuahua, for example. A chihuahua is sitting there and it's scared and it's shaking, and you can just see that. Have you ever seen a person that looks like a chihuahua that's sitting there scared and frail and shaking? It's interesting. You see a boxer dog with the kind of the pug face. You could almost put a cigar and a hat on it and you see some old men. You know, we start to look like our animals, which is funny. And we have a little white poodle, so I hope I never look like a little white poodle. But animals are funny because they have certain character traits of people. So Doberman Pinschers and Rottweilers and, you know, all these different kinds of pit bulls. And there's actually like a singer named Pitbull, I think. And, you know, I mean, he looks like one. He shaves his head and he's tough and mean and strong and he's a singer. But he wants that characteristic. He wants to be seen that way. And it's so interesting because in life, you know, when you step back and step back and step back, and the more you keep awakening from this hypnotic state and trance that we're in as human beings, we're born into it, born into sin, born into this culture, whatever it is, your family, where you come from. You just can't help yourself. You are what you are, and you were brought up that way. But then when you start growing up and you get to this stage of your life, whether it's 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, whenever it is, when you finally start to wake up, you look at it and you go, that seems very familiar to me. So now I'm seeing, like I called it, vibrations, energy, aura. A plant even has an aura. So what does that mean? How do I deal with that? How do you deal with it if you are conscious of people's energy, right? It's actually a blessing because this energy, when you can become, I hate to use these words, an energy reader, you can tell good energy, you're like, okay, good energy, and move forward. Bad energy, I can back up. And it'll, before you ever even hit that bad situation, you just can feel the energy in the air. You can feel the energy in a room. You can feel it out in front of you before you even get to the building. Something's wrong. Something isn't right here. I don't know what it is, but I feel it. So, are we becoming psychic? It's not like that. I think it's more spiritual. I think babies and animals feel that energy. A dog and even a cat or any animal will feel your fear. They'll feel your anger. They're very intuitive. They're having to watch everything. You watch them and they're looking around at the room and they're watching and they're very conscious because they don't know anything else. They don't care about having a nice car or house or what they're wearing. They're naked. They don't care. So what they have is the only thing that matters is danger or no danger. Isn't that interesting? So, shouldn't we have that? Shouldn't we be able to have that same consciousness, danger or no danger? Red light, green light. I'm starting to get that, and I think, yeah, it's an important thing. The problem is, coming back to communicating, we keep it all up here. We don't communicate properly with others. So then people are like, what are you looking at? Nothing. But you're looking at, that person they're carrying something heavy. They're carrying, somebody's hurt them, somebody's betrayed them, somebody's lied to them, and they're just carrying it. And you could say, everything's okay with me, but is everything okay with you? But we don't know how to deal with it because it's a higher power. It's a higher power to be able to feel energy like that. So I suggest that perhaps as we continue on our journeys through life, as I'm on my journey and you are on yours, maybe we should both consider this, that we should go, I feel very fortunate that I can read the energy. I can read the energy. They have people that can actually read lips, right? How do you read lips? Well, it's a learned thing, I'm sure. Probably takes a lot of time. It's like this. I don't fear the man that practices 1,000 kicks one time. I fear the man that practices one kick 1,000 times. That's probably the lip reader, or anybody that has done something 1,000 times. It's just a part of them now. They have acquired this skill to be able to read lips. So you can be across the room and the person can be listening with no sound. They're reading your lips. What if we could read energy that same way? Wouldn't that be a fantastic skill or blessing in this case? I think it would be. I think that I'm starting to see that. And I've heard people say they can, do this, that, and the other, and it always seemed like, voodoo, magic, whatever. But I realize that people do put off a certain energy that animals can read, dogs can read, I think especially. We see it more with dogs. But animals in particular, if you go out into the wild where you are no longer the top of the food chain, you are now, there's animals that are bigger and can take you down, that will hunt you and eat you. So when you go out into the world and you need an edge, because when you're out in the world, it's a dangerous place. So we go out in the world and we're no longer at the top of the food chain, but if we have a gun or guns, that's an equalizer. Boom, boom. The animal runs away, doesn't know what that is. It's an equalizer. Even though it could take us down and maybe we're not a good shot, it could take a run at us and maybe get us and eat us. Bears do that. I mean, big bears. You shoot them, they just keep going. They'll come right at you. But in life, if you could see the danger, feel the danger, recognize it for what it is, and make a wise decision based on this calmness I'm talking about, you may be out in the woods and you go, I don't think we should go this way. I'm getting a feeling about this. Let's go back. I mean, if we are leaders, then it's important for us to be wise with our flocks, right? So for me, it's my children, it's my employees and the people that I interact with in business. I have to be wise. Am I wise all the time? No. But are they teaching me to be wise by the interactions that I have and giving me the opportunity to use greater wisdom instead of emotion, instead of getting angry, instead of being contemptuous, instead of being judgmental? Those are easy emotions. They're like low-hanging fruit. So as I roll through my life, and I'm now sitting in this chair, talking into that mic, looking at these two cameras, I realize and feel the weight of the responsibility. And so what do I do with that weight? I look at it and I say, all right, well, I have to reach higher. I have to reach higher to my Father in heaven and make sure that I pay homage to his Son, who I know that I have to be respectful to and ask permission to be able to gain this great wisdom, because God sent us Jesus, not to judge us, but to save us from our own selves. And he is how do I say this? He is a conduit of the Father in heaven. And so a lot of times I'm like, well, who do I talk to? Do I talk to my Father in heaven, or do I ask Jesus? And that's always been a little confusing to me, because then people say, oh, they're one and the same. I say, okay, well, for some reason, some days I ask Jesus to help me. And some days I feel compelled to apologize to my Father in heaven. So I realize that something in me is starting to understand more clearly the order of things, because none can get to the Father except through me, Jesus says. Okay, I understand that. Heard, acknowledged, understood. I want to hear more clearly the communications from the Father in heaven, and sometimes spoken from the lips of Jesus himself. Right into my heart. Knowings, understandings. This latest one for me is reading aura, energy. I guess I call it energy. I called it vibrations. Don't really know quite yet. So I'm going to just continue to move forward with, okay, I get that. Am I becoming more animalistic like an animal? Energy, intention, bad energy, bad intention. So animals can feel that. And you're like, what are you doing, dog? Come on, what are you doing? And the dog's like, rawr, 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 and he's kind of upset, not knowing what's going on. What's going on? What's going on, pup? Come on. Oh, look, that's a nice man. Oh, maybe it's not a nice man. So, but what if the dog's not there and you encounter that same man? Do you feel what the animal felt? Are you going down to an animal state? I don't think so. I think there is some universal things going on there. Energy, evil or good. Evil, bad, good, good. So, communication. Now, I feel the energy. I feel the weight. My wife feels the energy. I'm carrying the weight. I got road rage. She's like, what's wrong? Nothing. Okay, so now here's where we have to learn how to communicate. As we go through our lives, and as we do not understand what is going on inside of our soul, a metamorphosis is taking place, perhaps. You don't understand it. It's frustrating. It's, why don't I understand what's happening to me? And there's another source. It's actually a trap set for fools. Sometimes you have to realize, you know what? I'm changing. Something in me is changing. I accept that. I don't have to know what it is. I don't have to understand it. I just have to know that something in me is changing, and it's happening because the Father in heaven wants me to be a different man. But I can't figure it out in my head. My head is driving me crazy, and I know I'm actually doing better. How can that be? I'm doing better, but I'm frustrated. Does that make any sense? Do you ever feel like you're doing better, but you're still frustrated? Lack of faith. Trying to figure it out. Sometimes you just need to keep moving on with your life. Because what happens is the intellect is what is actually frustrated. The mind, the monkey brain, wants to know how he can change you without his permission. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? So I've had those bouts of kind of frustration, like everything's fine, but I'm frustrated. Why? Is there things I haven't dealt with? Unresolved? Things I haven't said to my spouse, to my family, to my employee or employer that I should speak up, and I'm not speaking up? You can go on that little journey inside, like just ask the question, or you can say, Lord, I feel unsettled. I feel unsettled, and I know you're working your miracle on my soul, but there's unsettled. And then just let it be. Watch it. Because then you go through your life, you start walking again in your life, go to work, and the opportunity will come up. And then you'll see that thing rising up in you, going, no, you don't like that, or no, you don't want to do that, and the face gets all ugly, and that's what happens. It happens. Because you see people, as we get older, we get kind of older and uglier and bitter looking, and you can see it on their face, just hatred and seething resentment and years of uncontrollable hate, and it's just eating people alive. And they look at, I'm not saying when we get old, we're all going to get old and wrinkled, okay? But old, wrinkled, and full of hate and ugly are two different things. I get it, because I'm getting older, and I'm recognizing that this body, this machine, it's only going to last so long. It's going to then get all wrinkly and start coming apart at the seams, and I'm going to go back to the earth from which I came, and my spirit hopefully will rise to another plane. But when we have unresolved and we don't ask the question, what is that, Lord? Because really only He can answer that question for us. Then we internalize it, and it becomes thermonuclear, and it starts a nuclear reaction inside. And a separate heartbeat starts beating in there of the other creature. You've given it life, and you're feeding it, and it just keeps living and living and living. And one day, there's two of you inside, and there's not enough room for both spirits inside this vessel, and so one has to overtake the other and shove it down, out of the way, crush it, crush the little innocent spirit that we truly are, the little children that we are inside, and this ugly, mean thing that we have fed and fed gets fatter and fatter and bigger and uglier, and we become it. And then one day we cry out. So if we can find in ourselves to understand that change is happening, change and growth is happening in us as we wake up, and there's something in there that doesn't like that. It doesn't understand it. It wants to know more. It wants the reasons. It wants the facts. It wants the science. Don't you see that on the news? Trust the science. Really? Yeah, don't trust your Father in heaven. Don't trust your inner knowing. Now, trust the science. Where does the science come from? Who's the scientist? How do we know if we can trust that scientist? How do we know there's not manipulation going on behind that science? I trust myself. I trust the inner voice, the child inside of me that just kind of goes, I don't trust that, or I don't know about that, or that doesn't seem right, or I feel negative energy. I feel bad vibrations, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. It doesn't matter. Let's not get stuck on the words. You know. You know when you get a feeling. Some people say the spidey hairs on my neck stood up. The hairs on my arms stood up. I felt it. Where's the science behind that? Show me the science. Show me the science. No science for that. That's called evil. And when you feel it, you know it, and you don't better doubt it, right? So, we'll come back to communication. We all carry a whole lot on our shoulders. But are we actually reaching for a supernatural higher energy, a supernatural higher nature that is within us? Do we feel like the fallen creature that couldn't possibly be loved by the Father in heaven? Couldn't possibly have done so many horrible, rotten things. I'll use myself as an example for a moment. I don't know how else to do it any other way, so I just have to do it. I've done some stupid things in my life. Stupid. You could say evil. I could call them stupid. You could call them evil. Depends on your perspective. I've just done dumb things. Have you not done dumb things? Have you not lied? Have you not been arrogant or prideful? Yes, we all have. We've all done stupid, dumb, sinful, wrong, lying, rotten, evil things. All of us, even little kids do it by accident. They just all, you'll hear stories of one little kid accidentally killing another one. Well, was it an accident? I don't know. The devil can work through little kids too. When they're not being watched over by the shepherd, by their parents, evil creeps in at young ages. But what I'm saying is that in my life, I've done some dumb things. And do you know that, as I've said before, the devil knows my name, but he calls me by my sin. God knows my sin, but he calls me by my name. Now, The devil knows my sin, and man, he has got it. Like each one of my transgressions, each one of my falls from salvation, each one of my sins, he's got in his quiver, which is the thing that holds the arrow on his back. And all he does is he pulls it out and goes, phew, right into your face, right into your heart to make you go, you're not worthy. Look what you did. Don't you remember? And here's another one, boom, right in the face, in the heart. And he'll keep shooting those arrows because it's endless. Because even things that were not that big of a deal when you were a child, rude to your brother, rude to your mom, rude to your sister, rude to your father, rude to your neighbor, these little things, the devil will turn those into a sharp arrow and shoot it right into your heart. And he uses the intellect to have it echo over and over and over and over and over again to where you can't even hear yourself think because you're such a sinner. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. We all have to be able to realize that we are born into sin. We are born into it. And you look at a little baby and you're like, how could that little baby sin? Well, the little baby doesn't sin. But as it grows up and grows up and grows up, and then the parent downloads the sin program, the hate, the anger, the jealousy, the greed, all these programs that are like files they're downloading into the soul. That little child looks so cute and innocent is being literally used as almost the same way there's bugs. I'm trying to think which bug will use another bug to plant its eggs into. You know what I'm saying? We're just carriers of the original sins. The devil has allowed each one of us to download our sins into our kids. Anger, hate, jealousy, contempt, anger at our spouse. We're not even angry at the kid. We're angry at the spouse, and the kid sees it download, download, download. Kid doesn't know how to stop it. No firewall. Kid just subject to the life that he is born into or she is born into. So, we are born into this. We cultivate it throughout our lives. We start to use these programs that have been put into our computer memory banks, of which that are running in the background. Running in the background. We don't even know they're there. We don't hear them. We don't see them until such times as it's called upon. Anger. Serve it up. So, and then one day, something happens. Then one day, we hear a story. We see something that is beautiful. We see something that reminds us, oh yeah. My brother David talks about it on the radio show all the time, and now he's planted it in me. A guy that was in hell, and he said all he had left, the devil was reminding him of all this horrible things that he'd done in his life, and he had him in hell. And all he could do in that moment before he was about to just lose his soul was he remembered something. Jesus loves me, this I know, because the Bible tells me so. Something he learned in kindergarten or whatever it is. And he thought of that. He remembered, Jesus loves me. Jesus came to save me, not to judge me. Just the mere thought of that. And out of hell he went. That's all of us. That's all of us, is remembering where we came from. Remembering why we're here and who brought us here, who put us here, and why Jesus came to save us from our own selves, our own sin. And the devil doesn't own us. The devil does not own our soul. We belong to God. And his messenger comes to retrieve us, to bring us home. So, but even in my life where I feel like I haven't done that much. I haven't done that much bad at all. I think I've lived a really good life. But believe me, the devil's shooting those arrows into my mind and heart all the time. You don't deserve this. You don't have the right. You're not smart enough. You don't have the whatever your dad has. You're not near as good as your dad. I hear it from people. People come here to tell me that I'm not as good as my dad. And I'm like, okay, I believe you. And I know that's true. Thank you for coming by. What am I supposed to say to that? I'm all right with that. I'm okay. But I'm not my dad. I've said this before. It's a strange thing. But unfortunately, I'm judged like, who was it? Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish will be screwed up its whole life, right? So if I'm judged by what my father has done and my ability to recreate that, I'm going to be screwed up my whole life. But I don't feel like I have to recreate being Roy Masters. I don't have to. I can't. Can't do it. I don't know how. But I also know I don't need to know how. So I don't judge myself. And when I make a mistake, I don't judge myself because I know, damn it, I fell again. All right, get up. Fell off my horse. Get back on it. But I'm going to try my best to get this thing out about communication because we have so much going on inside of our heads, which is, crazy land. It's crazy time. There's crazy thoughts and there's the world. It's like almost, what is it? It's almost like a light bulb that attracts craziness from outside to come into us. We'll see it on the internet and see it driving down the street or see it in a magazine or whatever. And then it's in there. Now you remember it. You'll be able to recall. I'll give you an example. Don't ask me why, first of all. I'm going to give you an example that is too weird. I had a shirt the other day that I'm going through my closet. I thought, I haven't worn that shirt in 10 years. And as I said that, I remembered purchasing that shirt. Instant recall. Boom. I remembered buying that shirt. Why do I need that information? Why do I can remember putting it on the counter and paying for it. And I can almost remember the face of the person that sold me the shirt. I can't remember where it was, but I thought to myself, this mind it's an amazing machine that God created. But it's designed to be run by us, but it gets taken over by like a malware. I guess I don't know if that's the right word, that computer virus. It gets taken over. Something else starts running it. And it'll serve up memories. Old boyfriends, old girlfriends, things you've done that you shouldn't have done, times when you stole something when you were a little kid, times when you ate something when you shouldn't eat it, times when you cheated on your husband or wife, or you did something that was wrong or sneaky or whatever. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of total instant recall. Boom, there it is. How is that? I didn't used to have that kind of memory. But see, because I don't need that kind of memory. I don't need that kind of memory. I have friends that have that kind of memory. I think my one friend calls it an eidetic memory. She can remember everything. It's amazing. But I don't need that kind of memory. I don't want to fill my head. I only have so much head space. But guess what? There's a spiritual side of us up here, and there is like a computer side that retains all kinds of worthless garbage. And I don't care about when I bought that shirt. I don't care. So I don't want to get caught in that trap of where did that come from? How weird is that? I don't know why I remembered that. Should I keep this shirt? No, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's all these traps, all these intellectual traps going on all the time. So I looked at the shirt again. I said, all right, well, who cares if I can remember that I bought it? Does that mean I should keep it now? I threw it onto the pile to give it to one of my friends that I always give my extra clothes to once I've decided, all right, I've not worn that, or I've outgrown it, or now I'm too fat, or I've gotten skinny, or whatever. And I've been giving this same friend of mine clothes for 20 years. And he came over today to pick up a box of clothes that shirt was in. And I made sure I pointed out, there's a couple of nice shirts in there. My mind goes, show him that one. And I'm like, no, just the box in the back seat, just grab it and go. But I got to tell you, the human mind is amazing. It's amazing. But there's a lot of junk in there. A lot of junk in the trunk. A lot of junk. And what I'm learning how to do now is to separate, to filter the junk, what I should pay attention to, what I should listen to, from the meaningful things that I should be looking at, things that I should be paying attention to that I have not been. And so for today, it's really to become more aware of my ability to communicate with those that I love, which includes you, because otherwise why would I be sitting here? I want to communicate clearly, freely, a good message, a message that has value and substance to it, something that may resonate with you, with your monkey brain, with your mind full of useless dreck. It's just junk, but it's feeding thoughts into the more spiritual mind of me, of the true me, the authentic me. And I don't want that. I don't want that junk. I don't want it. I'll give you an example. This Bible right here. There's a note inside of it. And I keep remembering, there's a note inside this Bible because my brother's son gave him this Bible on his birthday. And I think his name is written on it. And every time I look at the Bible, I see my brother's name, which is written right there. And I think, my brother's got to take this Bible home. This has been going on. It's been sitting right on my desk here for a year, right? The brain just keeps feeding me things. Now, should I wrap it up, send it up, and box it and send it to him at his house? Or he'll come by here, and we'll be sitting here together one day doing the radio show, and I'll go, by the way, take that book home. That's the one your son gave you, has your name on it. So, I mean, who cares? But you know what? My brain has got everything in it. It's got information for 60 years packed into it that is wanting to distract me from what I'm supposed to learn, the message I'm supposed to deliver today about communication and about having a proper open communication with God, which is the wordless words that my dad has always talked about. God doesn't have a conversation with you, words that you can hear that are audible. It's something he speaks into your soul, into the cells of your human person, into your soul. And it's such a different experience, and it's more energy. It's light. It's a miraculous thing that's very hard to put into words. But it doesn't take many words because it's simple. It's wordless. It's a knowing. One word, knowing. Be still and know. That's what he says. Be still and know. And then so if you know, he puts in you what he wants you to know. So, communication. Isn't that interesting about each one of these books? This microphone has a story. There's this rod that's holding the microphone. Everything in this room. Where'd I buy that? Where'd I buy that? How much did I pay for that? And where'd I get this table? I bought this table at a garage sale for $50. I remember picking it up from the guy and saying, why are you selling it so cheap? I mean, it's all there. Does it do me any good to regurgitate it? No. So it's useless information. But if you're able to learn how to harness some of that information, okay, so it makes you a scholar. The problem is you get locked up in the useless information and the knowledge, and you forget the spiritual self. You forget who you really are. Not your knowledge, not your wisdom, not your understanding, not the words, not the Bible. You can memorize the whole Bible and forget the principles that it's teaching you. And just know all the words. So guess what? Here we are again, back to trying to learn how to communicate. I'm trying to communicate this. But what I've learned what I've learned even just today, coming out of having a little argument with my wife, and it was like, she was trying to get me to tell her what was wrong. And I was like, nothing's wrong. Nothing. I'm just carrying a lot on my shoulders. I said, my knees are shaking and I'm carrying all this weight on my shoulders. Can't you see that it's heavy and I'm carrying it all? And I'm like, why am I being so damn intense? Well, trying to illustrate the weight of the world on my shoulders. And all I want her to do is to be able to say to me, I see that you're carrying a lot. But instead she was adding a little extra weight to it by kept asking me the same thing over and over again. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't think to go, it's okay. What was your question again? And then just answer it with simplicity. No, nothing's bothering me. But see, I want her to see the pain that I'm in. I want her to know the pain that I'm in. Can't you see the pain that I'm in? I want sympathy. But I don't really want sympathy. But that's why we do. That's why we act the way we do. That's why we look the way we do. That's why we do the stupid things we do. Because we're looking in all the wrong places for the answers. So I guess, maybe I'm learning how to communicate that a little bit better. Because the whole world is a stage. The whole world is a stage. And we are all mere actors on that stage until we recognize, I don't want to be an actor. Don't need to be an actor. Don't care to be an actor. Not going to worry about it if I'm an actor. Well, okay, I'm an actor. None of it matters. All that matters is I listen. I ask the questions to my Father in heaven, and I ask Jesus to help me to understand, and then I wait. Patient endurance. Patient endurance, because we got to endure this crazy life. And then keep returning to that patient endurance, because we all demand answers. We all want answers now. We want answers today, in 2021. I want answers right now. That's not how it works. You may have to wait 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 years, because it's all a test. I've been married. I've been with my wife. This is our 40th year. Yeah, 40th year. And we've been married 36 in August. And we're just really starting to understand and know each other now. The rest of it was just 40 years in the desert of marital insanity. And listen, we've had a pretty great marriage. I actually ask her that, and she'll say, oh, it was terrible. But we made it. I said to my nephew the other night, I said, you're 40 years old now. I said, guess what? Let me give you a paradigm shift. You're alive. I didn't think you were going to make it that far. You're alive. You have a chance now. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You have a chance now to live. Most people are not even living. They're just existing. I don't want to exist. I want to live. I want to hear the message from the Father in heaven. I want to be able to be a conduit of his works and his will. And if I keep trying to get sympathy or get somebody to understand me or give me a pat on the back or say I care, it's all to feel good. Feel good. Feel good is not be good. Feel good is feel good. Today I had a conference call with a couple of guys, and I've been carrying a lot of weight. I'll tell you, I've been carrying a lot of weight on my body, but also on my shoulders from life of dealing with all the things, the foundation, and my parents and my children and my grandchildren and people in general and just life, business. And these guys, they sent me an email. They said, we'd like to help you with something that you're doing. And I said, okay. And they kind of spelled it out. And I said, wow, that's right. That's correct. And I went out of my way to thank them. I said, I've been the giver. It feels so good to have somebody give me some love, they just wanted to give me some advice on business, which was wonderful. It was so well received. I was like, yes, that's it. And I know it. Yes, thank you. That's great. That's wonderful. They were showing me how to do something in my business. And it was just nice. They didn't want any money. They didn't want anything. They just wanted to give me some kindness. And I got to feel it, and it made me feel so good. And I said a minute ago, feeling good is not being good. But I guess it just, it reinforced that when you give love to somebody, when you give kindness, which is love, and you do it for the right reasons, it has an energy to it. Back to energy. It has an energy to it that gives life. So they gave me some life, and it made me feel loved. And so what I also realize is that when I'm at my darkest hour and I feel, the weight, the stress, and I'm shaking, I can't hold it any longer, I can't take it any longer. And then I go, wait a minute. Jesus loves me. My Father in heaven loves me. He sent Jesus to help me, to set a wonderful example. Just thinking those thoughts releases me from the ties that bind me to this earth. It releases the stress. It releases the weight. That's that yoke. It says if you give your problems to Jesus, he will carry the weight. He will put the yoke around his neck and carry the weight. And that's what happens. Do the bills go away? No. The bills don't go away. Sometimes you can't pay them. I've had that. I remember talking to a guy on the phone. He says, all right, you owe this bill. You're going to really have to pay it. Otherwise this, that, and the other. I don't even know what it was. I said, you know what? I got 4 kids. I can't pay it right now. Well, you're going to have to pay something. I said, well, okay, let me tell you my children's name. And then you're going to tell me which one I'm not going to feed tonight. Okay? You're going to tell me which one, and I need your name because I'm going to write this down. And we're going to make sure that people know that you chose which one of my children not to feed tonight. And the guy says, what are you talking about? I said, mister, I don't have the money. This was 25 years ago. I don't have the money to pay right now. You're going to have to wait. He was just a bill collector. He got paid to collect. There's companies that get paid to make these cold calls to collect. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the only way. The guy has to understand what I'm going through. So you know what? He says to me, you know what? All right, I hear you. All right. Well, can I call you back like next month maybe? He goes, if you just tell me I can call you back next month and maybe you'll have something for me. He says, I can just let you off the hook right now. And I said, look, I want to pay this. I go, but I can't pay it right now. I said, yes, call me back in a month. What is your name? And he told me his name. I ended up paying off the bill. But being transparent, being honest, being willing to just bear all, it changes people. It changes everything. But when you're prideful and you're arrogant and you're hateful and you're just angry, and the bill collector calls, and you just say, go to hell, and you hang up in his face, guess what? Nothing changes. But if you're willing to just be transparent and say, I don't have it right now. Can you help me? Can you give me a little extra time? You know what happens is people want to help you. People want to help you. People are not ruthless for the most part. There are ruthless people out there. There's nothing you can do about that. You still don't pay them, maybe. If you can't pay them, you can't pay them. What are they going to do? Take your arm? Take a liver? Maybe with Biden as president, possibly so. But they can't take your soul. They cannot take your soul. So I've had to go through tough times just like all of you have. All of us go through tough times, whether maybe it's not money, maybe it's losing a child, maybe it's being divorced, maybe it's having, your spouse get killed or die of cancer or whatever it's going to be. We have these tough times, and there's a purpose for every single one of them. There's a purpose. All things work together for good for those that love the Lord. And because of that, if you don't get angry by it, if you don't learn something from this adverse situation. Remember, a kite rises against the wind rather than with it. The winds of adversity, you rise above it. So the adversity is there for a reason. But learning how to communicate, wow, it's hard because we stay stuck inside this thing right here. All the answers are in there. You can have all the answers, and the person asking you a question, you can say it to yourself. It's because you're a jerk. And then you say, nothing's wrong. And they say, why? Why don't you tell me what's going on? Why? Is there something bothering you? Yes, something's bothering me. You're a jerk. No, everything's fine. Your mouth will lie even though you want to tell them. The problem is that that's all driven by anger in there. It's all driven by anger, so you don't let it come out. So you hold the anger in, and the anger starts to kill you. It turns into cancer. It turns into some whatever it's going to be. Autoimmune thing where your body is attacking itself. I say let it out. Now, obviously not let it out like all over people, barfing on them, and even then you can do it and then go, whoa, I am so sorry I said that, but that's how I feel. I needed to say it. Let's deal with it. I mean, it's like, but being authentic, being honest about what you really feel, that's freedom. Sometimes you got to just barf it out. Okay. Have a, what does my dad call? A release. Release it. You can't swallow a poison pill expecting it to kill your enemy. So we have to learn how to communicate. And the only way you can communicate properly is from a centered place, a calm place, a still place. And you have to achieve that, I think, first. So that's why we teach the meditation exercise, to learn how to be still and know that He is God. And find some humility, find some gratitude. Like I said to my nephew, I said, you're 40 and you're alive. You're alive. Some people are dying and they're like, oh, I only wish I had one more day. If you're alive, which if you're watching right now, I assume you are, then you have the opportunity to start changing right now by just recognizing that all these things that you're holding inside are eating you alive. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to say, all right, got all these things that I've been carrying around for years. Now what do? One step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? Because some of those things are big. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So how you deal with that is continue living. Stop existing and letting that stuff feed on you from the inside out. Start living your life. Start recognizing your flaws and your flawed nature and the sinful self that is the other you. And how you do that is by meditating. Learning how to meditate. Learning how to, we'll call it praying, meditating, praying, asking God to show you. And if you just do that, it's just like the guy that practices one kick 1,000 times. And the devil fears that guy that practices that one kick or prayer 1,000 times. That's what we got to do, is keep on honing ourselves, whittling away at becoming what we're supposed to be. Okay? So communication, learning how to communicate better with each other, with our people that we love, people that we work with, our spouse, our siblings. One of my brothers did something to me the other day that was, it was cruel, it was wrong. And I looked at it and I saw the pain of it, but I didn't resent it. I saw that it hurt my feelings, which I don't really worry about that so much anymore. I see it, separate myself from my feelings, because I am not my feelings. My feelings they're like, to me, a mousetrap, and I don't want to put my toe in it, because if I live in my feelings, then bam, it's going to hurt. So I see it. I avoid living in my feelings, my emotions. I saw it and I thought, I'm just going to think about that. I'm just going to let that hang for a minute and not react to it, not hate it. I let it go. And then I had a dream in the middle of the night. I had a dream that I had done something wrong. And I woke up. I woke up to the wrong and it was too late. I had already done it. And I was like, oh no, what an idiot. Oh my God, what an idiot. I'm so stupid. Oh my God. And I was in my dream thinking to myself, what a complete stupid fool I am. I've jeopardized everything. And all of a sudden I went, wait a minute. Is this a dream? And I went, oh, it's a dream. I didn't really do it. And then I went, oh, thank you, God. And God put into my heart forgiveness. So I woke up and I went, oh, thank you that it was only a dream. And I was like, oh, the power of forgiveness, the incredible, incredible power of forgiveness. And whenever I experience forgiveness, oh, I just want to share that. I want to share that with everybody. So this thing was still hanging with my brother. And I was supposed to do the radio show with him a couple days ago. So I texted him. He says, are you getting ready to do the show? And I said, yep, on my way right now. I said, by the way, I forgive you. Let's move on with life, on with the show. And my brother said, oh, thank you, brother. Sent me these little emojis of praying hands. It was something that was stupid, but it could have been made into something bigger. I could have turned a molehill into a mountain. But then that's giving life to hate, giving life to contempt, resentment, all the ugly things. But since I still had forgiveness in my heart, oh, I was like so lucky to be able to share it. To share forgiveness. I understand how Jesus must have felt as he walked through his life, forgiving everyone for anything they did, because God sent Jesus to forgive us, to save us from our own stupidity, from our own sin. And so even when he was being killed and he was being crucified, he asked God to forgive them. And that was like the final lesson that we all have to learn. He said, we gotta forgive. We gotta forgive. And then the communication is open, because there's no judgment, there's no anger, there's no contempt, there's no anything, just love. Forgiveness is love, and love is forgiveness, because we're all gonna make mistakes. So maybe that's what I was trying to say to my wife today. So maybe she'll have to hear that on this Sunday talk. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching my Sunday conversations. And we also do one locally that we'll start. I think we're going to start trying to just do the audio, because people sit around in a big circle. We're trying to observe the COVID stuff that we have to, and so it's hard. It would be hard to film, but we'll work on that as we go forward. I also want to do more. I want to create more content, but my gal got sick that was doing this, and glad she's back, as you can see. And learning how to forgive is the biggest gift you can give yourself. See you next week.